The long shadow of the German occupation of Denmark finally lifted on the 4th of May 1945, as joyous news swept across the nation. For 5 grueling years, the Danish people had lived under the heavy weight of Nazi control, their daily lives defined by strict curfews. Across the country, citizens gathered around radios, listening intently to the BBC broadcast that signaled the end of their long, dark ordeal. The airwaves crackled with the announcement that German forces in Denmark, the Netherlands, and Germany had finally agreed to surrender their arms. Relief washed over the population, a collective exhale after years of suppressed anxiety, uncertainty, and the constant threat of sudden arrest. As the news spread like wildfire, the streets of Copenhagen erupted in spontaneous celebration, with people pouring out of their homes in joy. Danish flags, which had been carefully hidden away in attics and basements for years, suddenly appeared as if by magic from every window. The sight of the Dannebrog flying freely once again served as a powerful symbol of national resilience and the return of their sovereignty. Organized resistance fighters, who had lived in the shadows for years, finally emerged from their clandestine cells to take control of key cities. These brave men and women, once hunted by the Gestapo, now stood in the streets to maintain public order and secure vital infrastructure. Their transition from underground saboteurs to recognized peacekeepers was a testament to the effectiveness of the Danish resistance movement during the war. Yet, this liberation was not immediate for every corner of the country, as the strategic Baltic island of Bornholm faced a different fate. While the mainland celebrated the end of the conflict, the people of Bornholm remained trapped under the lingering grip of German occupation. The German commander on the island refused to surrender to the Danish resistance, fearing the consequences of his actions in the final days. This defiance led to heavy aerial bombardments, leaving the island's infrastructure in ruins, even as the rest of Europe began to rebuild. Eventually, the island fell under Soviet control, a situation that would persist until the spring of 1946, creating a tense geopolitical standoff. This complex transition highlights the precarious position Denmark held, serving as a bridge between collapsing Nazi authority and emerging Cold War tensions. These final days of the war in Northern Europe marked the beginning of a new era, shaped by shifting global power dynamics. Looking back at this period, Denmark's wartime experience is defined by a controversial policy of cooperation that allowed the state to survive. This pragmatic approach, while debated for decades, was balanced by the emergence of a late but remarkably effective national resistance movement. The underground network grew in strength and coordination, eventually becoming a vital partner for the Allied forces in the final year. Perhaps most remarkable was the daring rescue of the Danish Jewish population, a humanitarian feat that remains a beacon of moral courage. In a matter of days, thousands of Danish Jews were ferried across the sea to neutral Sweden, shielded by their fellow citizens' defiance. This act of solidarity demonstrated that, even under occupation, the core values of Danish society remained intact and fiercely guarded by many. The national identity was fundamentally strengthened through this shared experience of unity, secret defiance, and the eventual triumph of liberation. As the dust settled in 1945, the country began the difficult process of reconciling its wartime choices with its newfound freedom. The legacy of the occupation would go on to shape Danish politics, social cohesion, and international relations for many decades to come. It was a period that tested the limits of national character, forcing a small nation to navigate the most brutal conflict in history. The memory of the Liberation Day remains etched in the national consciousness as a moment of profound relief and renewed democratic hope. Every year, the tradition of placing candles in windows on the eve of May 4th honors those who fought for the nation's future. This simple act connects modern Danes to the generation that survived the darkness, ensuring their sacrifices are never forgotten by history. The story of Denmark in World War II is not just one of occupation, but of a society that refused to be broken. It is a narrative of survival, where the boundaries between compliance and resistance were often blurred by the necessity of saving lives. The bravery shown by ordinary citizens, from the resistance fighters to those who helped the persecuted, defined the nation's post-war path. As Europe transitioned into the post-war order, Denmark emerged with a clearer understanding of its place in the global community. The challenges faced during the occupation served as a harsh lesson in the fragility of freedom and the importance of vigilance. By 1946, as the last Soviet forces finally departed from Bornholm, the country could finally begin to look toward the future. The scars of the war were visible in the rubble of cities and the memories of the people, but the spirit remained. Rebuilding the nation required not just physical labor, but a collective effort to heal the divisions created by the occupation years. The political landscape shifted as the government sought to address the complexities of the cooperation policy and its long-term consequences. Historians would spend the following decades analyzing the nuances of this era, uncovering the many layers of the Danish experience. The rescue of the Jews became a central pillar of the national narrative, symbolizing the triumph of humanity over systematic hatred. This event continues to be studied as a model of civil resistance and the power of collective action against an overwhelming force. The resistance movement, once a loose network of volunteers, became a symbol of the nation's refusal to accept the Nazi ideology. Their contributions, though often coming late in the war, were vital in securing Denmark's place at the table of the victors. The liberation of Denmark was not just a military event, but a profound psychological shift for every citizen who lived through it. It marked the end of the isolation imposed by the occupation and the beginning of a new era of international cooperation. Denmark's post-war trajectory was heavily influenced by the lessons learned during those 5 years of struggle and quiet resistance. The unity forged in the face of adversity became the foundation for the modern welfare state that would develop in the decades following. The resilience of the Danish people proved that even under the most difficult circumstances, a nation's soul can remain untouched. As we reflect on 1945, we see a country that had been transformed by the crucible of war into something more unified. The transition from occupation to independence was a delicate process, handled with the caution and pragmatism that defined the era. The stories of those who lived through the occupation continue to provide invaluable insights into the nature of human courage today. Each account adds a layer of depth to our understanding of how Denmark navigated the treacherous waters of the Second World War. The legacy of the resistance fighters is honored in museums and memorials across the country, preserving their memory for posterity. The liberation was the final chapter of a long and painful book, but it also opened the first page of a new one. The nation emerged from the war with a renewed commitment to democracy, peace, and the protection of human rights for all. This commitment remains the cornerstone of Danish identity, a direct result of the lessons learned during the dark years of occupation. As the sun set on the 4th of May 1945, the people of Denmark knew that the worst was over and a new dawn awaited. The liberation was more than just the end of a war. It was the beginning of a future defined by freedom. Reflecting on the wartime experience, Denmark's legacy is defined by a complex tapestry of survival and moral struggle under the weight of occupation. The nation navigated a controversial policy of cooperation with the occupying forces, a pragmatic approach that sought to preserve the core of Danish sovereignty. This delicate balancing act was never easy, yet it simultaneously sparked the growth of a late but increasingly effective and bold national resistance movement. Perhaps the most celebrated chapter of this period remains the remarkable rescue of the Danish Jewish population, an act of profound and collective defiance. This operation stands as a lasting testament to human empathy, where ordinary citizens risked everything to protect their neighbors from the horrors of the Holocaust. These events collectively forged a new national identity, one strengthened through the crucible of unity, quiet resistance, and a shared commitment to moral courage. Today, Denmark looks back on this era not just as a time of occupation, but as a defining moment that tested the resilience of its people. It solidified a deep, unwavering commitment to democratic values and humanitarian principles, ensuring these ideals would remain central to the nation's future in the face of adversity. The policy of cooperation, often debated by historians, was a calculated gamble designed to shield the Danish population from the worst excesses of Nazi rule. By maintaining a functioning government, Danish officials hoped to retain some control over domestic affairs, even as the shadow of the swastika grew longer. This strategy required walking a razor's edge, balancing the demands of the occupiers against the fundamental needs and safety of the Danish citizenry. Yet, beneath the surface of official compliance, a different kind of energy was building, fueled by the quiet indignation of a people under foreign control. The resistance movement began as small, fragmented groups, but it slowly evolved into a sophisticated network capable of sabotage and intelligence gathering. As the war dragged on, these fighters moved from passive observation to active disruption, targeting infrastructure that served the German war machine's logistics. Their actions were not merely tactical, they were symbolic, proving that the spirit of the Danish people remained unbroken despite the heavy military presence. This growing defiance reached a fever pitch in 1943, when the political landscape shifted and the policy of cooperation became increasingly difficult to sustain. It was in this tense atmosphere that the plight of the Jewish community became the ultimate test of the nation's collective moral conscience. When news arrived that the Nazis intended to deport the Danish Jews, the response was swift, spontaneous, and remarkably organized across the entire country. Fishermen, doctors, teachers, and students united in a desperate, secret mission to ferry thousands of people across the narrow straits to neutral Sweden. The logistics of this operation were staggering, requiring absolute secrecy and the cooperation of hundreds of ordinary people working in the dead of night. Every boat trip was a gamble against German patrols, yet the success rate remained incredibly high, reflecting a nation's refusal to abandon its own. This rescue operation was not just a military or logistical feat, it was a profound expression of the fundamental humanity that defines a society. It demonstrated that even in the darkest hours of history, individual choices can ripple outward to create a powerful, collective force for good. The legacy of this rescue continues to resonate today, serving as a reminder of the power of solidarity when faced with systemic hatred and persecution. Following the liberation in May 1945, the nation had to grapple with the complexities of its wartime choices and the scars left by the occupation. The transition back to peace was not instantaneous, as the country had to reconcile its past actions with the new reality of a post-war world. Debates over the morality of the cooperation policy continued for decades, shaping the way Denmark viewed its own role in the global conflict. Yet, through these debates, a stronger, more self-aware national identity emerged, grounded in the lessons learned during those 5 years of darkness. The unity forged in the resistance and the rescue efforts became a cornerstone of the modern Danish state, influencing its social and political development. Democratic values were no longer taken for granted. They were seen as fragile treasures that required constant vigilance and active participation to maintain. This period taught the Danish people that sovereignty is not just about borders, but about the shared values that bind a community together. The memory of the occupation serves as a constant touchstone, reminding future generations of the cost of freedom and the importance of moral clarity. As we examine the historical records, we see a nation that was far from perfect, yet one that strove to maintain its dignity under immense pressure. The stories of those who resisted and those who helped are now woven into the fabric of the national consciousness, passed down through generations. They provide a blueprint for how a small nation can stand up to overwhelming power by relying on the strength of its social bonds. The legacy of the war is not found in grand monuments alone, but in the quiet, everyday commitment to fairness, tolerance, and human rights. This commitment has guided Denmark's path in the decades since, making it a global leader in humanitarian efforts and international cooperation. The lessons of 1940 to 1945 are still relevant, offering insights into the complexities of human behavior during times of extreme crisis. We learn that even when options are limited, the choice to act with compassion remains a powerful tool against the encroachment of tyranny. The resilience shown by the Danish people during the occupation continues to inspire, proving that courage often manifests in the most unexpected ways. It is a story of survival, yes, but more importantly, it is a story of the enduring power of the human spirit to resist oppression. As the world changes, the core principles established during this era remain a steady anchor for the nation's identity and future aspirations. The legacy of the resistance and the rescue is a testament to what can be achieved when a people decide to stand together. It is a narrative that challenges us to consider our own roles in society and the importance of standing up for what is right. Looking back, we see a Denmark that emerged from the war not just liberated, but fundamentally transformed by its own collective actions. The scars of the occupation are still there, but they are now part of a larger story of resilience, growth, and moral evolution. This historical perspective allows us to appreciate the depth of the challenges faced and the significance of the choices made by those who lived through it. The story of Denmark's World War II experience is a vital chapter in the history of the 20th century, offering lessons that transcend national boundaries. It reminds us that the fight for freedom is never truly over, and that it requires the constant, active participation of every citizen. The legacy of the war is a living history, one that continues to shape the values and priorities of the Danish people today. By honoring the past, Denmark ensures that the sacrifices made during the occupation are never forgotten and continue to guide its path forward. The narrative of the occupation is complex, filled with nuance and difficult choices, yet it remains a source of national pride and reflection. It is a reminder that, even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human capacity for empathy and resistance can change the course of history. As we conclude this reflection, we recognize the profound impact that these 5 years had on the trajectory of the Danish nation. The legacy is one of endurance, showing how a society can navigate the most difficult of circumstances while holding on to its core values. It is a story that continues to be told, analyzed, and learned from, ensuring its place in the collective memory of the world. Denmark's experience during the war remains a powerful example of the resilience of democracy and the importance of standing up for human dignity. The lessons learned during those years continue to inform the nation's approach to global challenges, emphasizing the need for unity and cooperation. In the end, the legacy of the occupation is a testament to the strength of a people who refuse to let their spirit be broken. It is a story of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of the human spirit, echoing through time as a beacon for future generations.